Hi everybody, happy August. I'm Carissa with 7th Street Gifts and we're here at the Lawrenceburg Public Library to do the Year of Teas. So a big thanks to you for registering and participating and picking up your tea kits, and an even bigger thanks to the library and the Friends of the Library for sponsoring our year and funding this. So for this month we have Gunpowder Tea. It's a green tea. And again, just as a reminder, I'm going to say it all year long until we're done. This tea, just like all of the other ones that we've had so far this year, come from the plant Camellia sinensis. So again, it's when we harvest it, how we cure it and treat it, and what man does to the Camellia sinensis that turns it into the different variety or variation of teas that we know. So again, Gunpowder Tea, it's a green tea, it's certified organic, and it's fair trade. And we're going to spend a little bit more time on fair trade and the people who pluck and harvest the teas today, because it is pretty noteworthy. And so to get the gunpowder green tea, the fresh leaves are plucked, they're withered, and then these are pan fried. And you'll notice that this tea has a smoky, brothy undertone. It's quite a bit different than the others that we've had this far. And that smoky flavor comes from it literally being pan fried over an open fire. Like if we were out camping and making our pancakes or our hot dogs or something over an open fire, that's how they do the green tea, this gunpowder green tea specifically. And then it's rolled, and you'll see when you open up your envelope this year, or this month I mean, it's little teeny pellets, and that's what they look like, little gun pellets or BBs. But every single tea leaf that's in your envelope was hand rolled by a human being that picked it up and hand rolled it into that little round pellet. And that in and of itself, if you just stop to think about that everything that you have in your bag come all the way from India and was hand touched and rolled by another human being, it's really nothing short of amazing. Then after they're hand rolled, they're dried on like a screen, and this all takes place out of doors, kind of like in a camp. There's shelter and you're under roof, but it's open air. And then they're sorted, and that's where you get like your grades. So like a grade A, B, or ones that maybe didn't roll properly and that weren't perfect, you would use maybe like in a tea bag, a less refined or less superior tea grade. So this tea specifically does have a really rich flavor, especially for a green tea, because you know how a lot of green teas have lighter, like grassier flavors, and they're more translucent, like you can see right through them. This is closer to a black tea in the sense that it gets darker and its flavor is much, much stronger. And then again, it does have that hint of smokiness, and that comes from the curing, where this is literally pan fried over an open fire. And it does have like a sweet undertone, kind of like the smokiness brings out a sweetness instead of an astringent or tartness. So you'll also be able to tell from the other green teas that we've had earlier in the year that the curing, the pan frying, and the rolling do change the flavor pretty significantly. So it makes a big difference. So again, the leaves are each hand rolled into little pellets, like a pellet gun or a BB gun, and that's where it gets its gunpowder tea name, like a gun pellet, a little pellet that you would load an air gun with. And then when you introduce them into your cup and pour your boiling water over them, they unfurl, which remember is one of our fancy tea vocabulary words, which is just a really super fancy way to say open up or bloom. And inside the actual cup. So the unfurling can happen without a tea bag or strainer, because the little pellets, you can almost pinch them and kind of count out like 8 to a dozen pellets and drop them in the bottom of your teacup and then put your hot water on it. Because they don't have a lot of sediment and their particles are big, so it's not one that you get like little bits and pieces of plant matter in as you drink. And it also makes one of the most favored teas for tea leaf readings. How we've talked about before that in ancient traditions that people use tea leaves for readings and prophecy. So this tea specifically, since it can be steeped without a strainer or a bag, makes for a really fun reading because they bloom and open up and then give you those interesting designs. We did, however, in your kit include your muslin bag like we do every month, just in case you wanted to use the whole pot or use a fresh one from another month. Or for this one, you certainly can, but I just wanted to let you know traditionally that the gunpowder is one that you don't use a tea bag or a strainer with. So a word that's used to describe this tea is brothy. So again, it's like has a more robust, kind of like thicker, like heartier flavor to it. So it's also kind of a nice way to move into the season as the sun starts to kind of wind down and we start to eat like heartier, more brothy style meals, and the harvest in the gardens kind of lend that way. And again, it is a slightly smoky flavor back to the pan frying and the curing. And then compared to a true black tea like an Irish breakfast or something like that, or an Assam, it does have a light body. But in the world of green tea, it's heavier and darker bodied in the green tea category. And now just to kind of visit the idea that people who actually do this for a living, many seas away, literally, and have for generations tea plantations that date back to literally 7 and 8 generations. Our Frontier Food Co-op is a part of the Fair Trade Federation, and so part of the agreement that we do, and you as using these teas over others, is that these folks are paid a very thriving, profitable wage. And then they're treated fairly and they're paid vacation, they have benefits, so we've kind of corporatized their farms, so to speak, but to their benefit to kind of protect them from being exploited and mistreated in their endeavors, basically. So the very best quality teas are harvested by hand or plucked. And again, now you see plantations, even in the Carolinas here in North America, where they use machinery, farm machinery to harvest the tea. And that's all good and well, but if you think about quality and like really from person, hand to you, a person that stands there and plucks and picks every single thing, there is like a real integrity to that. And then only the top 2 leaves in the bud are the only part ever plucked. So there is a specific method and way to do it to maintain the Camellia sinensis bushes and keep them healthy and strong. Most tea plantations, and that is what they're called right now because by definition they are plantations, have hundreds of pluckers, and pluckers are kind of their self-ascribed name, who usually work at harvesting tea 6 days a week. They're off on Sunday, but Saturday's included in their weekday or work week. And they work 8 hours a day. So it's a 48-hour a week work or a day work week. And they use large wicker baskets and they are strapped to their foreheads. So they have these leather straps that strap to their foreheads, and then the baskets are designed to be flat and against their back and rounded out, and they drop down their back. They're strapped down their backs, and as they pick, they drop them and kind of like throw them over their shoulders and fill their baskets. And then they have quotas that they need to meet daily, and so they come at the end of the day and they're basically judged by weight and quality. And then that's how they're based off of above their hourly wage, kind of how we would get bonuses or incentives or tips. So the amount that they pluck and the quality that they pluck gives them bonuses and incentives and tips, but they get a base rate for their hourly work. The tea plants are maintained and kept at a perfect height, so like probably about the height of me or maybe a little bit shorter. So the harvesting can be accomplished without a ton of bending over or reaching up. So it's kind of like all level. You go like this. Not that it wouldn't be a rigorous long day, but it is. There are efforts made by man to try to make it as easy of a job as it possibly can be when you're still doing hand picking and harvesting without the use of motorized machinery. And so again, just to kind of emphasize, we like the flavor, we like to talk about the body, and we like to say what we do and don't like, and if we like tea or sugar or things of that nature, but we need to think of the origin and the source of this, which is pretty amazing that in 2023, for $4 to $8 an ounce, we can drink very superior quality tea that was literally hand-picked, cured, and rolled by a human being. So the importance of fair trade is certainly illustrated here. So when you're a tea consumer, whether you get it from us or anywhere, it'd be pretty important to look for the Fair Trade Federation just to support people in the right way. It's a pretty hard job. And then I was going to leave this with Denise, and she's so good to us with her copying card in the library. And I was going to ask her to print this page and copy it with your handout this month, page 19, in the Frontier Discover the World of Tea hand guidebook that I have. It's a shop copy, but I was going to leave it with the library. And it's a really interesting day in life of a tea plucker, the generations, a picture of what somebody looks like as they harvest, what the teas look like, the plantations. So look for that, even if it's just this page, in with your handouts with the gunpowder green this month. And kind of be mindful, and let's think of the people who put it in our cup, so to speak. So again, 7th Street Gifts, brick and mortar apothecary shop, open every day, noon to 5, 35 hours a week. Established 1999. Come on to the big mean streets in Newport and check us out. And until then, we'll see you next month, September, for Irish breakfast tea. And so that'll be a black coffee-like tea. So we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.